Hello all, Jamie here for Craftmania, and today I'm introducing you to my brand new metallic ink bundle. I'm truly excited to be able to bring these to you. These are a bit of a love and a joy of mine and something I've really enjoyed playing around with. And I have a feeling over the next little while, you are going to fall in love with these ink pads as much as I have, because there is so much we can do with these. And I'm going to take you through lots of quick techniques throughout this video to hopefully inspire you and show you what you could be creating with these and thinking about how you can bring them into all of your paper crafting styles and types and explore and play, whether it's with stamps, embossing folders, stencils. There is so much we can do with these. Now I'm just sort of holding them here, but there are 5 colours. I'll take you through these in just a second. But before we get started on this, couple of bits of housekeeping to get out of the way first of all. Please make sure that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel and tap the bell to make sure that you get all notifications of all of our upcoming videos here at Craftmania, because we'd hate you to miss out on a single thing. Secondly, if you do fall in love with these, where do you go to buy them? Well, of course, you're going to pop onto the Craftmania website, which is www.craftmaniacrafts.com. Once you have landed on that website, you can then go to our YouTube tab. That's the home of where we put all of the bits for our videos, other than our die of the week. That has its very own little section because it's very special. But all of our YouTube videos like these ones, you will find a little page under the YouTube tab linking you to all of the bits that we are going to be talking about today. Now, there is lots to get through on today's video and loads of inspiration to come your way, but let's introduce you to these inks and tell you about the discount we have for you on the bundle and of course on individuals as well. So if you do just want to come in and collect a couple of colours, absolutely fine to do so, but of course the biggest saving is by going for the bundle. So let's show you the colours, shall we? And we'll do a little swatch of these in a moment so you can see them better. But this is our first one. This is Sea Breeze Blue. We then have for you Silver Lining, so beautiful blue, beautiful silver. Then we've got Royal Purple. Then we've got Brushed Gold. Now this is a gorgeous antique gold. That is really stunning. And then we finish off with Black Suede, your essential black ink that again can do a whole host of different techniques and bits, but again topping off your complete collection of your metallic inks. Now this bundle should Now, as I mentioned, you can, of course, come in and purchase these individually if you prefer. These should be £6.99, but they're on offer for £6.29. Now, of course, if you don't know this, just before we start swatching and playing, with Craftmania, anytime you spend over £10, you're going to receive free UK P&P. That's second class free UK P&P. If you spend under £10, so maybe you do just want to come in and just purchase one of the ink pads, then your P&P will cost you £2.95 for orders under £10. If you wish to, whether you spend under £10 or over £10, you can upgrade your P&P to first class for £3.95, and then that will speed up how quickly the delivery man brings them to your door. Now, of course, we don't only sell here in the UK, we sell worldwide, and we know many of you, especially on our YouTube channel, love to come in and purchase goodies from the UK that you can't necessarily find at home. So do not fear, you can have these sent to you and any of the other products here at Craftmania, of course, all covered with our international shipping policy. And that is that your P&P is capped at just £10. If we find it cheaper than £10 to send it to you, which, being honest, we never do. But if we do, maybe you just order one die, for instance, then we will refund that difference to you. If it costs over £10, which, as I genuinely mean this, about 99% of our parcels that go internationally do, then here at Craftmania, we will actually pay the difference for you, meaning the most you pay is £10. We'll pay the rest, and that's our way of trying to work with you to bring goodies from the UK right to your door, so that you've got that ability to sort of experience and play with items you might not normally be able to get your hands on. So let's start swatching, shall we? Because these are glorious. And I think the second you see this ink coming out of these pads, you're going to fall in love just as much as I have. Now we're going to start off with the Black Suede, and I'm doing this intentionally because normally you would probably think that black on black probably isn't going to show up too well, or that you're not going to get much from it, think again. Have a little look at how this shows up. Now, of course, when we go over the white card, you're going to get more prominence because you've got the black on the white. But actually, the black on the black, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, these are quick dry ink pads, so they're not going to take the world of time to dry, but they are also pigmented. So if you would like to heat emboss them while they're still wet, you absolutely can do. We can blend with them, we can add water to them, and we'll be doing that shortly. We can do so much with these. Honestly, the list goes on, and I'm going to try and fit in as much as I can through this next little while to give you as much inspiration as I possibly can do. Now, so far, the one I just did was the Sea Breeze Blue. I'm now going on and I'm working with the Royal Purple. Now, how glorious is that purple? Isn't that stunning? Now we're going to go on, and I'll hold these up in a second so you can see them slightly better, but now we're going to go on to the silver lining. Now, to me, a gold and silver, especially when we're talking metallics, is absolutely vital. And I love the way that the silver, even on the black card, brings through different properties to the black. So on camera, you might feel they look kind of similar on black. When you look at them on white, you can really see the difference. But actually, I promise you, on the black here, there is quite a difference between them. This gold, I think, is glorious. How traditional, sort of Christmas, antique is this one. I'll show you these again in a second. I'll lift them up so you can see them better. But oh my goodness, you are going to fall in love with these and just think of all of the ways and occasions you're going to be using these. Can you see that shimmer come through? Can you see that pop as the light hits these? Just how glorious those are. Now, I'll probably give you a little flash of these towards the end of the video, and by that time they would have dried and you can see them in all their glory, because they do sort of intensify. As that sort of wet look disappears, you will find that they intensify even further. But there's so much we can do with these, and I know I've said that a few times, so let's delve in and see one of the first things we can do. Now, when we talk about metallic inks, we don't always imagine that we're going to stamp with them. We don't always feel that that's something that's going to work brilliantly for us, but of course you can stamp with these. Now, the thing I would tell you to bear in mind, obviously, is really delicate stamps. You might find they're slightly more blurry because of the way that the ink is made up and that metallic coming through. But actually, I'm trying to tell you the positives and the negatives, but I'm going to show you one of the most detailed stamps I feel I've got in my collection. This is our Happy Birthday tile stamp, and I'm going to ink this one up with the black suede, because although I want to give you that little disclaimer that you might not wish to stamp with these on ornate stamps or delicate stamps or text stamps, if you do, have a little look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Crisp, shimmery, metallic goodness, which is exactly what we wanted it to be. Now we're going to bring this panel in because we're not finished with this yet, and I want to cover another one of our techniques with this. We will take this stamp off of here though before I forget, because it's guaranteed to happen. So we'll take that out of the way for just a second, and I'll move that stamp press out of the way too. And we're going to bring in, let's have a little look and see if I can find one. We're going to bring in a paintbrush, and we're going to bring in one of our little blending mats. And we're going to take some of these colours and we're going to place them out onto our mat. Now, this is one of the things I would urge you to think about. So often we feel an ink pad is sort of trapped in the confinements of the pad. These ones aren't. Bring them out, play with them, use them in lots of different ways. So for instance, let's pick up this gold here, and we're going to start off with this. This is the brushed gold. And bearing in mind, we're working over the top of an image we've stamped with the black suede. So if one of your questions is the ink waterproof? Once you've started working with this, you're going to see how well this works. There is no bleed coming in from that black line at all. All we have done is gone ahead and painted by mixing with some water and created our gorgeous golden balloon there. Now we're going to do one in blue as well, so you can see this coming together. And of course, you could be as delicate or precise with this as you wish to. And I'm sure already the ideas are coming to you about all the different ways you're going to be able to start applying these to different mediums and different stamped images, different embossed images, so on and so forth. Another question that you might have is, can we mix them? So let's bring a bit of this gold over here, and then we're going to bring a bit of the blue in with it as well, and we're going to start mixing these together. Now, of course, because we are mixing a sort of yellow and a blue, we're going to end up with a shade of green. Now you can mix this and intensify that, add in a bit more yellow, add in a bit more blue, depending on what way you want it to be. But I tell you this because of when I was working with these, when we launched these, we were using a lot of floral stamps that had got quite a bit of foliage with them. And I needed a green to go in with the foliage. And I found that mixing them, of course, creates the perfect green. Now I'm only mixing these two colours, but you think about all of the different combinations you could be working with between all 5 colours to mix and play with. I feel you're going to come up with quite a few different versions through those alone. So don't be afraid to explore and play with the colours as you see them. Now, I've shown you already how we can take this out. We can put it onto one of our blending mats and we can activate with water. So let's bring in a different blending mat and a bigger version of this to show you a different idea. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the same inks, we're going to bring them out and we're going to start placing them down on the mat. Now, if you're worried about contaminating your ink on the actual pad, which is absolutely fine to be worried about, I'm a little bit more rebellious, I suppose is the word, and I don't worry too much about that because I'll just take it away on my next image. But if you are worried, then use an applicator. I'm being quick for the speed of the video. You don't have to be quite so quick when you're at home. So if you would prefer to apply these inks to the mats with an applicator, it's going to protect your pads and stop any contamination. So just bear that in mind. This isn't one of them do as I do kind of situations. More take the warning I give you and work with it in your own styles. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in some water in a mister bottle and we're going to mist all over the top here just to activate those inks. Now we could be working with any style piece of card or paper for this, but I'm going to use one of our foiled inkables. And this is just a bit of an extra bonus really. Whenever we're working with these, and if you haven't seen these, we're going to show you one of the background patterns versions in a moment, but we do these in 4 different versions. They come in gold and silver in the circle, and then we do a gold and silver in the square as well, so slightly different design. Please forgive me, I've just put a black fingerprint on this a couple of times. It's not the end of the world, because what we are going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to lay it down over the top of our ink and we're going to pick this up. Now, because we've got that foiled element, the foil is going to resist the ink and we're going to find that just the background starts to get coloured. Now we're going to put that down again. We can do this and we can pick this up as many times as we want to. So we're going to pick this up a couple of times, give it a good firm rub to make sure that we've got that in place. And we're going to start to see that colour coming in. Now, if you think this is too intense, you can of course bring water directly to the top of this and help those colours interfere slightly more. You could add more water or ink down here as well if you prefer. But we're going to carry on doing this for just a sec and start picking these colours up. And we're going to let that set. So I think that's actually going to dry pretty gorgeous. You might not see it at this stage. And I am worried that that black bit there is slightly intense. So we're going to give that a little bit more of a mist. And we'll do the same for these ones over there. And we're going to leave that to set for a little while. Now, if I remember, I'll bring that back in at the end of the video. But I'm going to show you one just so you can see what I mean by setting lighter than you imagine. This panel's been done in exactly the same way. I didn't use the black on this one in fairness, but this is the joy of having the 5 colours. You can use the shades you wish to achieve the effects you want to. Now with this card I did use a die. This is from our elegant butterfly oval set that we have at Craftmania. And I've just used the corner element to cut into the foiled inkable as well. You'll also notice that I've used the inks to stamp the central panel, and I've also used the inks on the flowers, but we'll get to that in a moment, I promise. So of course we can do that as you just see on our light colour, which was our white sort of foiled inkables, but we can also do very similar on our dark cardstock as well. So let's bring out a bit of this purple and we're going to place that down. So we're going to bring in some of the blue and we'll just add some pieces of that down. We're going to bring in some of the silver as well, dabbing this into the open areas. And then we're going to mist with some water again. And then we'll bring in a piece of black card. Now the colours on black card tend to show up more metallic-y than they do on the white. You're going to get to see more of the sort of shimmer come through than you do the intense colour. But I do think that this ends up looking a little bit like encaustic art. And I think that's kind of cool too. So this will dry very similar to what you see it here. You can of course add in more colour, you can work with this in more ways. You could let this dry and come back and pick up more if you want to. But already you can start to see that metallic and them shades coming through on top of that black card. And it gives you kind of a sort of sky solar system-y look. You imagine adding a little moon on there, maybe some of sort of James Doodle's rockets and spacemen and aliens and bits. That could make a really cool galaxy-esque background. I think that could be really fun. So that's those used in the same way on black card. Now another thing we can do with these, honestly the techniques just keep going. Because we can activate them with water, I'm going to bring out this purple again and we're going to place that down onto one of our smaller blending mats. I'll show you the blending mats in a moment because I haven't really, have I? We're going to again add in quite a bit of water to this. And we're going to bring in a larger sheet of card actually before I forget and get too much mess everywhere. But we're going to put that down and we're going to bring in a fan brush so that we've got more of a splatter effect going on. And we're going to pick this up. We're just going to move those bits out of the way for the second so we don't end up covering everything. We'll move that over. And we're just going to start taking this and adding it down. And we might do some of the gold actually as well. I've got a lovely sample here done by Sharon Noble, who has used the gold over black, and I think you're going to see that come up slightly more prominently quicker. So let's try some gold as well. But this is the joy about having all the different colours and playing throughout your different colours of cardstock. Now obviously in today's video I'm going very much for black and white card, because they're going to show you kind of the polar opposites of the spectrum of colour. But do think about doing this over your red cards, your blue cards, your navy cards. Imagine this over navy, that'd look lovely. So yeah, I play and experiment and just get creative and see what you can come up with. But I feel when you've got a product like this in your collection, you're going to have an awful lot of fun. Now, again, this doesn't have to be done over the black. You imagine that over the white, and you were doing a wedding card, perhaps it could easily look like confetti falling through the sky, which could be a really lovely effect. Again, on the black, we've kind of got that solar system-y look going on again, haven't we, which is actually really nice. Again, if I think of it, we'll bring that back and I'll show you that dried shortly, just so you can see how that's going to look once it's set, because it is really lovely to show you them when we start them and when they dry, so you see the difference between when they sort of are activated and when they're set and ready. Now we're just going to clean this up. Now these again, great because they are water-based, so as you can see I can just take these straight off of my desk, or clean up with water I should say, but they are, as you see, very easy to take away from your stamps, your counters, your blending mats. It doesn't matter what we're working with, they're quite quick clean up. Now this is the sample I wanted to share with you that Sharon had done. Can you see that gold now sitting on top of this black MDF tag? How gorgeous is that? And doesn't it just give that really cool finish in the background? I think that's really nice. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of blending with these, because it'll be nice for you to see that as well. So we're going to take our ink. This time, let's go for our blue. We'll start off with the blue. So this is our Sea Breeze blue. And again, I'm working on one of our foiled inkables. This one I think is called our Entwined Pansy, if I remember rightly. But again, this comes in gold or silver. And we also do a really cool marble version of this as well. And if you've not seen the marble one, that's probably my favourite. I really like the marble. And these can take ink brilliantly. But again, we could be going around the edges of a flower. We could be working on just a panel. We could be working on a die cut like Sharon did on that last project I held up. She had done a piece of the tile nested die and just gone around the edges of that. So many ways in which you're going to be able to blend with these and take them around your sort of projects. And I always like this because if you think about it logically, we can blend with them, we can stamp with them, we can use them over our embossed card. And why I highlight these bits is because I'm trying to show you how it means you can take them all the way through your project. It doesn't matter where you're going or where you're ending, every element, so backgrounds, foregrounds, sentiments, could all match all through the same set. And I think that's really kind of cool because it just means you're going to keep to the same colours. I always find it really frustrating if I'm making a project and I've got one colour of cardstock or one colour of a product and I can't match that in multiple places throughout my project. I want everything to tie in together. I want it to coordinate. And if I can't find that item in multiple colours or create in multiple ways with it, then I find that kind of frustrating. So these being able to come in so many places, to me, is kind of exciting. Now we're just playing here and building up some colours. So I'm now going in with the royal purple. We've already done a bit of the brushed gold, and we've also added in that sea breeze blue. Now these, as you can see, are blending like a dream over the top of this foiled inkable panel. And all of the ink that we use on the blending mat, of course, that can be activated in the different ways we've highlighted. So you could mist that with some ink and you could go in and do your painting with it. You could do your pickup technique with it, your smooching technique with it. Honestly, everything is usable, so nothing is wasted because of these are water reactive. There are so many ways in which we're going to be able to use them and clean up that sort of excess and not waste any of the elements, because that's the last thing we want to do, is waste anything. So have a little look at that. Isn't that glorious? Now there's a couple of little areas in there I might add some more colour to, but as you see, as it hits the light, you get that sort of different reflection in different areas. Now again, think of that just going around the edges of your panels. Think about this coming round, and this is something really cool, just edging the edges of your card with it. It doesn't always have to be a really intense finish, just doing your faux mats and layers with your metallic edge to match. Look how well that just pops on the side there. Even on quite a busy panel with your foiling and your blending, you're still seeing that come through. And because we're using it directly from the ink pad, and we're just pushing the ink against the edge there and running it down the side, we're getting a perfect matching edge line all the way around that. So that's kind of special too, and a great way to use them. Then another thing we can do with these is we can stencil with them. So let's bring in a stencil for a second. Now I'm not going to anchor this down because I want to do something different with the stencil in a second. But we're going to go in and I'm going to try and remember what colours we were using. But it's actually the colour on the stencil I'm more interested in than what we're stenciling. And this will come clear in a second. This is what I class as letter pressing with a stencil. Now you may have seen me do this before because it's one of my favourite techniques to do with stencils. And I often feel stencils are one of those products that we kind of forget about all of the amazing ways we can use them. We look at them and feel, well, we can stencil through it. That's of course one thing, but we can emboss with stencils as well. And what we're going to do with this one is kind of similar to that. Now I'm bringing in our inks again. I've used our brushed gold. I did use our brushed gold. Sorry, I am using our brushed gold. I'll get there in a minute, forgive me. This is what happens when I try and work and talk. It never works. So we're using the brushed gold currently. Before that, we added in the royal purple. Now we're going to take that one out of the way and we're going to bring in the sea breeze blue. Now, of course, we could add in more colours if we want to because we've got all 5 to use, but I think the 3 will be sufficient for what we're trying to achieve here. Now, I did just move my stencil slightly. Let's try and see if we can bring that back. Now, don't forget, it's not actually the stenciling that I'm after. It's the ink on the top of the stencil that I'm here to see. So we're going to try and finish that off, try and make sure there's not too many fingerprints. We'll see how we got on. Oh, look at that. Now bear in mind, we're not after this part, but look how gorgeous that is. That is lovely. Now I wasn't planning on that end result there, but that is stunning. And I should have thought about it because I've done this before, but I didn't expect that would look quite as good as that does, but that is glorious. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in another piece of our white card, and we're going to bring in the machine plates. So I'm going to be using a Pro Cut machine for this. So I'm going to bring in my base plate. I'm going to place on top my stencil. I'm going to add onto that a piece of card. Then I'm going to add on top a rubber mat. Now, anytime we add a rubber mat over the top of a piece of card, over the top of a stencil, what we are creating is an embossed effect, because what's going to happen is the rubber mat is going to push down on the card and it's going to push that into the stencil, and we're going to find that we've created a cool embossed sort of effect just by using a stencil. And I think that's something we often forget, because we remember that we can do lots with stencils, but we don't often think about them as being in the embossing folder. And to me, it's kind of a money-saving tip that with an embossing folder, you can emboss obviously, and you are going to get a deeper impression, don't get me wrong, but you're not necessarily going to have a whole host of different techniques you can create. With a stencil, not only can we stencil with it, we can also emboss with it. So in my mind, you're getting more value for money from a stencil. Now, when we take this away, oh, look at that. What's happened here is the ink has transferred from the stencil onto the card. Now, because of obviously the openings of the stencil had no colour in them, because it's a stencil, we've then got our white embossed butterflies coming through as well. So embossed butterflies, coloured background, all created by passing that through there. Now again, I don't know how well you're going to see this, but where that's kind of soft, it looks kind of like marble again. I love how these inks end up looking like marble so many times because it just gives you such a cool background. Now, if you wanted to, you could add more colour on, you could match that up, you could send that through. If you prefer, you could put your stencil back in place, and now you could bring in a different colour or other colours or a different medium, maybe something like our gemstones texture based, and place that over the top instead, so you could then reveal again to have a two-tone styling. The stencil I'm using, by the way, this one is our kaleidoscope. No, it isn't, I'm lying to you. It's our elegant butterfly formation stencil. And there's a couple in this series. There's this one, and I don't know if I've got the others up here actually. There's a really cool scattered one and a diagonal one with butterflies on it. They're all very, very pretty and work really nicely with these metallic inks. But I can't get over that. And to think we actually got a 2-for-1 really, because we got the stenciled effect and then we got the letterpress effect. Now, if you do this, by the way, just as a little hint, and you're not happy with how the ink transfers over, when you do it again, give it a bit of a mist with water onto your stencil, this is, before you put your card on top, before you put your mat on top, and you'll find that the ink will be a bit juicier and transfer slightly different. The tip here is don't use too much water because it will bleed into your open spaces and that might not be the effect you want to achieve. So just tread carefully with that, but it is a tip for you if you find you need one that may well help. So then, what have we done so far? We have splattered, we have picked up, we have transferred, we have stenciled. We haven't even really begun yet. Let's bring in a piece of embossed card because this is another technique I want you to see. So this here is a embossed piece of card I've already done with an embossing folder. This is our Time embossing folder by Nelly. You'll find this on the website. Now we're going to bring in some inks and we're going to use them directly from the actual pad. Now, of course, we could go back to our blending tools if we would prefer, but actually I'm quite happy to just go direct with this one. This is going to end up, if all goes to plan, looking pretty cool. So we're going to go on first of all with the brushed gold. We're then going to start bringing in some colours. So this is our blue, and we don't necessarily want to cover everything, we just want to cover some areas of it. If we cover everything, then we didn't really need to do the first colour. We're then going to bring in some of our silver, and we're just building up these colours. We want a layer of metallic to appear on here because what we're going to do next, and this is a fun thing to point out, is bringing in different inks. It doesn't always have to just be about these 5. Think about mixing with other products. So this is our quick dry pigment inks in Squirrel Red. Now I'm going to bring this in and we're going to go over the top. Now these again are quick dry, they're pigmented. So if you wanted to take your embossing powder at this stage and heat emboss this, you absolutely could do. If you want to pat with them so you've got more intense colour, you can, but we just want to add in that level of red. Now, these are quick dry, but of course we're building up the layers, so I would potentially leave that to dry for a second before I did too much more to it. But because we're going for a video, I'm going to be naughty and I'm going to take more colouring over the top. Now what I'm doing is taking the ink and sort of splodging it and sort of patting it, I suppose, over the top. Now you can go back to doing your same sort of rubs as we were, or circular even, but we're just trying to build up them layers. Now we don't want to obliterate the embossed bit and we don't want to lose the background, but we're just trying to show you how you can build up the shading. Even with the black, bringing in this black suede. So I've lost a little bit of detail there on that clock. So we're going to bring in a bit more and we're going to go around the edges. Now I'm going to show you here a card if I can find it. Here we go. So this is one. So bearing in mind these are slightly different colours, but once dry, this is where, so that's where we are with this one, the one we're working on. This is one I've done in exactly the same way on black card and left to set. Let's hold it the right way so the clock, there we go, so the clocks are up the right way. But can you see how that red ink, this squirrel red, has come in and added like a rust effect to this project? You've still got very filled in areas where our clocks are, but you've got kind of the red sitting around those areas, giving you a slightly different pattern. So don't be afraid to play and create, bringing in other inks with these ones to create some really cool backgrounds. So that's just building up. We'll leave that one to dry as well. We may come back to that one too a little later on, but it's just showing you some of the ways in which you can use them over embossed card. Now then, another thing that I did not predict at all that I found we can do with these inks. So I've gone ahead and I have stamped these out already so that they're dry, and I'm going to bring them in again so you can see the colours. Let's see what have we got here. We've got, have I missed one? Oh, there it is, it's in my hand. So I've got these already stamped out here onto just little squares, and this is using our rose stamp set. Now we're going to bring in an alcohol marker. Now I will be honest with you, this is not something I knew was going to happen when I ordered these. So you're not going to find this on the packaging because I didn't know it was going to happen. But actually, since having them here and playing with them, I have found, so I'm just trying to find a light colour. If you're wondering what I'm up to, I want you to see this with a light colour, because we could do this with a dark colour and you would go, oh, there's no transference, there's no colour difference. But actually by using a light colour, you can see that there is no change, there is no pickup, there is no difference. And to me, that's the most important bit, because I don't want to do trickery and show you with dark colours when it's actually about showing you with the lights. So just going in and picking up the different colours here, or not picking them up, more to the point, colouring over them and showing you that there's no transference with any of these colours. So where this is the silver lining, that's of course the brushed gold. We started with the sea blue, sea breeze blue, we'll go into the royal purple. And then of course, the hardest trick is always black, because of the second you pick up any black ink, you're going to see that a mile away. And I'm going deliberately over the lines here because I want you to see no transference, no pickup, just the alcohol ink going through and sitting where it should be. Now, as I say, this wasn't something I predicted I would be able to do with these inks at all. It's a recent discovery, but it's one I think is kind of cool. And because of that, I can't guarantee that's going to work for you with every single brand of alcohol inks, but I think you're going to find it will, because I believe alcohol ink is pretty much the same qualities, just slightly different throughout the different brands. But I don't think you're going to find that there should be a difference between the alteration of that. So give it a try, always nice to know. Then another thing I wanted to show you, and this is going to be my last technique, I believe. I don't think I've got any more that I want to show you today that are sort of pending in my mind as important to share. But we're going to find a piece of card. I've just got to stretch for that. I don't know why I keep my card so far away. Such a silly bitty move. So we're going to bring in a stamp press again, and we're going to bring in, and this doesn't matter what stamp, but we're going to bring in our floral melody stamp, and we're going to place that down in our stamp press, and we're going to pick that up just so that we've got that there. Now, this is something I really like doing, and I know I keep saying that. I genuinely am in love with these inks. There is just so many ways and ideas I have for these, and I'm just, as you can see, I think there is endless techniques, but we've already covered quite a few, and the results have just been so glorious. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm not actually planning for this to be a perfect impression, because I want to build this, and this is what I love, and something I didn't expect to find I could do, but have really enjoyed finding that I can, is multicolour stamping. So again, you might want to clean your stamp off in between layers so that you don't contaminate your inks. I don't want you to end up with gold on that one, for instance. But actually, if you don't or you do, it doesn't matter. It's about what we create here. So you start, I'm going to lift this up already because I'm probably going to go one step too far at some stage and we're going to lose it. But you look at how that blue and gold are coming together already to make like a verdigris stamped background. How cool is that? And this isn't something I would normally expect inks to do. And I know you can do it with some inks, but again, not something I predicted I would be able to do with these inks. I didn't imagine they would play so nicely together and layer in such a cool way. So now I'm going to give this another lift up, just so you can start to see that purple coming through. I was quite light with the purple, I didn't do too much of it because I want to try and fit in a few colours. But to me, this is what this is about, is giving you that ability to just see the techniques and then you take them and run with them as you want to. So we're going to use the black going around the edge here. Now we may go back in with more gold in a moment, but we'll go on with the black. This, of course, is the black suede. And I was just trying to sort of give that vignette style edging to this project. Oh, look at that. Now, I don't know how well you're going to see this, but you've got the black, you've got the gold, you've got the purple, you've got the blue, all coming into play already. Now let's take our cloth and just wipe this off for a second because I don't want to put black on my gold. So we're just going to give that a quick clean, not a spotless clean, just a quick clean. I'm not somebody who cleans my stamps very often, so for me this is quite good. I genuinely don't, but we're going to take the gold and we're going to go round the edge and we're going to put the gold back over the top of that black because I think something quite fun is going to happen there. We're then going to bring in a bit more purple to the middle. And we're going to stamp that. Let's have a little look. How are we getting on with this? Oh, okay, I'm happy with this. Let's bring this out so you can see it. Can you see them shades coming into play? Isn't that cool? Isn't that vintage? Now this, of course, is one of our pattern match stamps. If you've not seen this before, this is just one of many. But what that actually means is this stamp matches perfectly on all four sides. So you can restamp it here, you can restamp it here, you can restamp it up there and down there, and you can take this off to be as large or as small as you want it to be. So if you want to use this for a scrapbook page, if you want to make a box out of it, whatever you want to do with it, you can. And this is just one of our pattern match stamps. We have a few of these at Craftmania, but to me, they're just a really fun stamp and great to have that ability to take them off into different sizes and styles. So while we give them just a sec to set and dry and finish sort of cooking as such, let's show you a few other samples because I'm conscious that I want to share with you not only techniques, but I also want to share with you some finished samples so you can see again what myself and the Jamie Rodgers Craft Design team and the Craftmania design team have all been doing with these. I'm just going to clean my desk so I don't end up getting messy and putting anything onto our samples. And now I've already shown you this one, didn't I? Of course, showing you the inks in the background smooshed, showing you stamping in this area, the blending over the flowers here. This one I'm going to bring in, this again is using one of our ornate tile stencils. I've embossed it, I've blended over the top, I've stamped with the inks, I've used the inks on the flowers, on the layers, on the sentiment. It's all brought together with the inks in mind. This one again is one of our stencils. I've stenciled through it actually with oxide inks. So I used, if I remember rightly, I think this is the ultramarine of the oxide inks. Now they don't have a metallicness to them, so I then blended silver lining over the top. So if you can see that metallicness coming through in the blue, it's where I've layered different brands, different products to take them and convert them to being metallic. I've then stamped over the top in the gold with a little ornate tile stamp to finish that off. Then we've got this one, so again just showing you plain stamping done on our polar white cardstock, showing you how that's going to look. Again, a little bit more stamping here with the gold and the black, showing you some blending around the edges with the gold, showing you the black being stamped on top of the gold as well. Then another one here showing you the embossing, so where we did the letter pressing with the embossing. So stencil coloured in the inks, sent through the machine, just like we did the butterflies. That's the effect we've achieved here. Then we're going to show you another one. This again is another stencil, one colour this time, so just the silver taken onto the stencil, patted all over, misted with water, sent through to transfer onto this panel. And I actually think that looks a little bit like concrete, which I thought was kind of impressive and kind of cool. Now, like we did the clocks, when we put the inks over the top, very similar done here, over black card, but because these are pigment inks, I've then put clear embossing powder over the top of it and heat set it. And this one to me looks a little bit like leatherette or leather, because you've got that sort of crackled texture feel to it, but you've also got that shimmer. Very, very pretty, very, very cool. And you can probably tell I fell so in love with the background, I didn't actually want to cover it up. So I just added a little 3D butterfly onto the front of it and a sentiment. And that was as much as I could bring myself to cover of the background, because I loved it that much. Then another one here. So this is done again with painting, bringing the inks in and mixing them with water and painting with them. This one here Ian's done, and he's done that confetti splattering technique over the background of this. So on white card, bit of blending first of all, and then some splattering with the different colours. Now I can see in there the blue, the lilac, the gold and the silver. That's very impressive. Another one here doing some stamping, just bringing those colours in, stamping with them all over, showing you how you can use those all for your backgrounds. Another one here done by, I believe, Wendy. Yep, Wendy's done this one here where she's done the smooshing technique and then she's actually embossed the panel afterwards, because of course once the panel's dry, no reason we can't emboss it, die cut it, stamp on it, whatever we would like to. Another one here where I've done some blending through the stencils with the different inks, then stamped over the top. Then a couple here, this is the rosebud embossing folder. So I've embossed the folder and then I've brought that ink in and I've gone over the top of it. Another one here with a cogs embossing folder, adding the inks over the top of that as well. And then of course you see the time folder and the stencil for that one. Oh, and this is nice. This is the same colours of inks used on that sample as this one, but difference in colour of card. So you see the two different versions. And then finally, sample wise, I just wanted to share this one with you, which is just a little hanging decoration I've created using the blue and the gold with our tile stamps and of course our tile nesting dies. And that hopefully fills you full of ideas on what you're going to be creating with these amazing inks. Now I know you and I hope that you've enjoyed this, but I have a feeling you might have some questions. And if you do, we are completely here to answer them for you. So please pop them in the comments and I will do my very best to answer them, because it's all about education, it's all about inspiration, and it's all about help here at Craftmania. If we can help to inspire and educate you, we've done our job right. And that's what these videos are here to do. And of course, also bring you a saving. So if you've fallen in love with these, and we will just run through the colours one more time, there is of course silver lining, brushed gold, royal purple, black suede and sea breeze blue. And if you would like to get hold of that combo, that little set of 5, you can purchase them. If you would prefer to buy just one colour or collect your own set, then of course you can do that. These should be £6.29. Oh, sorry, they should be £6.99, sorry, but they are on offer for £6.29. So you've got about a 70p saving if you wish to purchase them individually. Now, I want to share with you, just before I let you go, a couple of the pieces that have now started to dry and set. So let's bring these in. This one's still a bit wet, but hopefully you're starting to see how that's calmed down slightly, how they've started to blend in together, how we're getting more of that marble-esque sort of feeling coming through. That'll take a little while longer to set, but it's nice to see it in this stage. This is, of course, that's pretty dry actually. But this is our black piece of card that we did the pickup from, the smooshing technique. These, of course, are the panels that we just did the sort of swatching over. They are now completely dry, so you're just seeing that metallic shimmer come through. Isn't that gorgeous? How glorious is that? I don't think anything I do can compare to showing you them in this format, because you're really seeing how they're playing on the two different colours, how that sort of metallic shimmer's coming through. To me, that's glorious. Then, of course, we've got our multicoloured stamping, we've got our embossed panel, and look at that. You layer them two together, you add a 3D rose onto the top here, a little sentiment, your project's done. Or, of course, you've got your stenciled effect. Oh, look at this. This is our confetti over black. Look at that. I don't know why this is giving me New Year vibes, like celebrating a Happy New Year card. I think that could be really lovely. You think about bringing in just one of our circular ring dies, maybe adding some flowers, little Happy New Year sentiment. Job done. Maybe some clinking champagne glasses, letting that look like the fizz in the background. Maybe the back of fireworks if you wanted to do something fireworky. That is gorgeous. I've not done them two colours together on black before, but that looks really, really lovely. So again, if you would like to go for the bundle, you can get hold of this, of course, at Craftmania, and it is on offer. Of course, that is going to qualify you for free UK P&P, because anytime you spend over £10, you're going to benefit from our free UK P&P. If you spend less than £10, then of course your shipping is capped at, or is just £2.95p, or you can upgrade to first class shipping for £3.95 whether you spend under £10 or over £10, and our international shipping is capped at just £10. If you have any questions about any of that lot, pop onto the website and have a little look under the customer service tab. And the bit we haven't mentioned yet in today's video that we really must is don't forget to sign up to the website and make sure you've logged in when you create your purchases to get your inner circle reward points. You receive 1 point for every £4 you spend with us at Craftmania, and the more points you collect, the bigger the prizes get or rewards get. There's again a little tab called Craftmania Inner Circle Rewards on the menu bar. Give that a click and it'll tell you more about it. It's free to join, and it's just our way of saying thank you for your purchases and being part of our Craftmania family. Thank you very much for watching today. Once again, if you do have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them for you. But thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. Bye for now.